Hi, welcome to Module 2. Last week you checked in with your reading passions and shared these with the other members of the course and started to get some ideas about the kind of story you might want to write yourselves. This week we anchor some of those choices by looking at perspective and point of view. In normal language, perspective and point of view might refer to much the same thing, but in fiction these are distinct concepts. Perspective, simply put, refers to whose story is it that you are telling, and point of view more to the style in which you will tell it. Let's make this a bit more clear with a visual example, starting with point of view. Point of view refers to the position of the narrator in your story. There are 4 main points of view that you can use to tell your story. We're going to look at each one of them now in a perhaps more easy to understand visual form. In first-person narration, the narrator is also the character in the story, using the word I. It looks like this. My feet thud through the empty passage. What's that noise? Who's this? Oh. Better get to work. Second-person narration is very unusual, featuring a narrator who addresses the reader as you, in effect turning the reader into the character in the story. Visually it might look like this. You walk down the corridor. Your feet echo in the empty hall. A man walks past you. You don't recognize them. You walk on. In close third-person narration, we follow over the character's shoulder, as it were. They never get too far from our sight. We refer to them by their names or by he or she, and we do not know information that they do not themselves possess. Visually, we can represent it like this. David walked through the corridor. Matthew walked past him. David didn't recognize him and walked on. Omniscient third-person narration is also called voice of God narration because the narrator knows everything there is to know. They do not need to stick with a particular character. They can jump around and they can talk in any vocabulary they want because there is no information that they do not have access to. It might look something like this, visually represented. David walks down the corridor. Meanwhile, from the other side of the building approaches Matthew. Their paths are set on a collision course. So point of view is the position of the narrator, but perspective is the more fundamental choice. Perspective is whose story is it that you are telling, and it relates to more than just who's noticing what's going on. It brings into play beliefs, attitudes, and desires of the character. To make the point clearer that stories change fundamentally depending on whose perspective they are told from, let's look at a number of books organized loosely around the theme of war. You might think that a war book is a war book and that the same messages, the same lessons, the same themes will be explored by all of them. However, this is not the case. This book is hilarious. The perspective on war that we get from this is really more perspective on human absurdity than anything else. This book's also pretty funny, yet it features a protagonist who is narrating from Vietnam and battling to keep his sanity together for a number of reasons. This book contains a wonderful story featuring a woman's perspective on war, where themes like boredom and dread and loneliness emerge, often passed over by masculine accounts of war. In this book, the soldiers face a crisis of faith in the war that they're fighting. They come to realize that what they're fighting for is very savage and immoral. And in this book, the same thing happens only in South Africa. This just goes to show that even though you can group books together by theme, the different perspectives they contain means that you will get entirely different books every time. Good news, everyone. This week is your first chance to do some real creative writing of your own. The task is designed to help you get to grips with these concepts of perspective and point of view that we've looked at in this week's lesson. Look in the assignments folder in Module 1 and you will see a task there that requires you to write one perspective from 2 different points of views. Happy writing. To wrap up, the most fundamental decisions you will make about your story relate to perspective and point of view. Remember, perspective is whose story is this that you are telling. Point of view is the manner in which this story will be told. Thanks for watching. I look forward to reading your assignments and I'll see you on the discussion forums.